Hi everyone, in this video I will teach you how to find the domain of a square root function only. I also have videos about finding the domain of other functions like polynomial and rational functions, or if you see a rational function with a square root in the denominator or in the numerator or both of them. So please check those videos in my YouTube channel. So for this video, our focus is finding the domain of a square root function only. Let's begin with this first example. So in finding the domain of a square root function only, there is a restriction. And that restriction is that we are not allowed to have a negative value in under that radical sign, because if we have a negative value, then it will be equal to an imaginary number. So that means the domain will be all the values of x that will make the expression equal to 0, either equal to 0 or positive number. So that means to set up to find the domain of this function, this is how we set it up. First, we will have x plus 1 can be greater than or equal to 0. Okay, and then we solve for x just like solving any inequalities. So we subtract 1 on both sides. That means that our x will be from -1 to positive infinity, and that's our domain. Now, how are we going to convert that into interval notation? Since that is greater than, okay, it's greater than, that means we will start with that number -1, and we will use the symbol for inclusive inequality, and that's the bracket sign. So -1 comma positive infinity. This means that the domain is from -1 to positive infinity. Let's go to the next example. Here we have 2 minus 3x should be greater than or equal to 0. Now let's solve this. Subtract 2 on both sides. This will be -3x is greater than or equal to -2, divided by -3 on both sides. So this will be x. Now, this is what will happen if we divide a negative number in an inequality. That symbol will change. It's greater than, right? So now it will become less than 2/3. Okay, so I will repeat that. Every time we are dividing or multiplying a negative number in an inequality, the inequality will change. From if it's greater than, it will become less than. If it's less than, then it will become greater than. So now how are we going to convert that into interval notation? Since it's less than, we will start with negative infinity, okay, until that number 2/3, and then of course we will use the inclusive symbol for this answer, and that's the solution, or that's the domain of this function from negative infinity up to 2/3. So notice the difference between the two. Okay, so for number 1 we have greater than. Okay, so you start with that number -1 to positive infinity, compare that to number 2, that's a less than symbol. I know the original is greater than, but because we divided both sides by -3 by a negative number, that inequality symbol will change. So now we're dealing with a less than symbol. We start with negative infinity until that 2/3, until up to 2/3. Let's go to the third example. Here we have x squared minus 4. So x squared minus 4 is greater than or equal to 0. Add 4 on both sides, right? So we add 4 on both sides. We cross that out. This will be x squared is greater than or equal to 4. And then divided by 4. Or sorry, find the square root of 4. We have two answers here, that's positive and -2, right? So positive and -2. So how are we going to um, convert that into interval notation? So first, let's try to locate those. I think it will help us understand how to convert that into interval notation if we locate those two numbers in a number line. So let's say we have this number line. Okay, -2 is right here, and then +2 is right here. So those are the two numbers, right, that are involved here. The question is, what region are we going to include in the domain? So because here we have three regions. What are those regions? That's from -2 to positive infinity, from negative infinity to +2. That's another region. And how about the region here from -2 to +2? So those three regions, what will be the domain? Okay, so to check that, let's see, let's substitute 0 to x. Okay, so 0 square, what is that? That's 0 minus 4 is equal to -4. So which means we cannot replace x by 0, because if x is equal to 0, the function will be an imaginary number. So that means we don't need 0, or we don't want 0, which means that we can use, since 0 is not included, then that means we will not include this as our domain automatically. Okay, 1, sorry, -1, and that 1 will not be part of the domain, and that means the domain of this one is from negative infinity, okay, up to -2. And again, we will use the inclusive symbol. That's the bracket, union of, okay, +2 to positive infinity. Okay, so that will be the domain. Okay, let's go to the next example. Here we have -2x squared plus 18. So -2x squared plus 18 is greater than or equal to 0. So we subtract 18 on both sides. This will be -18 and -2x squared. And of course, we will divide both sides by -2. And you know what will happen if we divide a -2 or a negative number on both sides? That inequality symbol will switch from greater than to less than. So 9. And then we'll find the square root of 9. X is less than or equal to positive -3. And again, we have two numbers here, +3 and -3. So again, to better understand what are the numbers we will include in the domain and what are the numbers we don't need, let's use this number line, okay, as an illustration, or I think it will better understand as it will be better if we have this number line, so there will be a better understanding of what will be the domain. Okay, so locate -3 and +3. So are we going to choose the numbers from -3 to +3, or from +3 to positive infinity, or from -3 to negative infinity? Let's check. Let's try 0 again. So 0 is, if we replace x by 0, that means 0 squared is 0, and then times -3 is 0, plus 18 is positive. So check. We will include 0. So that group from -3 to +3 is definitely the solution. But let's check. Let's try -4 or +4. Let's try 4. So 4 squared, what is that? That's 16, right? Times -2 is -32, plus 18, that's -14, and we do not want that in our or under the radical sign, so which means this will not be part of the domain, and also that. And to convert that into interval notation, it's going to be -3 to +3. And of course, we will use the inclusive symbol for the inequality. So that's how you find the domain of a square root function only. But let me just summarize what we have here in number 3 and 4. Once you understand, or once you see the difference between the two, here on the left side, or number 3, I have a greater than symbol. And then for the number 4, we have a less than symbol. So in finding the domain, if you don't want to use that illustration anymore, actually you don't need to do that. If you have a greater than symbol, expect that the domain will be something like this. You start with negative infinity. Of course, if you have two possible answers, right? Like in this case, we have positive -2. You will only do this if we have two possible values of x. So if it's greater than, this is going to be the kind of answer you will be expecting. If it's less than and you have two answers like positive, negative 3 and number 4, then this is the kind of answer that you will be expecting. Okay, so that's it. Again, thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. Thank you very much.